And now, Bishop of the Catholic Church, Domenico Sigallini, will speak to us. Monsignor Sigallini was born on 7th of June 1942 in Dello of the province of Brescia. He attended and completed theology in Brescia and was ordained on April 23rd, 66. He belongs to the clerics of Brescia. In 1971, he graduated in mathematics in Milan and has been teaching mathematics from 1967 to 1991 in a monastery in Brescia. He's an author of various articles published in various church journals, such as the ones noted, as well as the journals of Italian Catholic Actions and others. From 1966 to 1969, he was the vicar in Brescia. Also, he had the commission of prorector in the monastery in Brescia. He had become vice assistant to the Italian Catholic Action, and then he assisted in the same in 1980 to 1991. In 1991, Monsignor Sigallini was called to Rome to be able to have the obligation for the pastoral of the youth of the Italian Episcopal Conference. And this assignment he fulfilled until 2001, when he was named as the main church organizer, vice assistant of Italian Catholic Action, which he holds today. The special assignment of Monsignor Sigallini in his episcopal pastoral work was the preparation and celebration of the World Youth Day, especially in Rome, but also in those in Denver, Manila, Paris, and others. Monsignor, welcome. We are waiting for your word of a pastor.
Buona giornata a tutti.
Good day to all. Let us prepare ourselves in order to listen to a part of the gospel and a reflection on that. St. John, in chapter 2, we read, on the third day, it was a wedding in Cana, Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you."
Na svadbu bijaše pozvani Isus i njegovi učenici. Kad ponesta vina, Isusu će njegova majka, vina nemaju. Kaže Isus, ženo, što ja imam s tobom, još nije došao moj čas. Na to će njegova mati poslužiteljima, što vam god rekne, učinite.
Se seguiamo la cronologia dei primi giorni di Gesù, annunciatore del Vangelo, trascinatore di giovani, consolatore di sofferenze, e la mettiamo con la grande cronologia dell'inizio del mondo, secondo la poetica descrizione della Bibbia, troviamo una significativa coincidenza.
If we go through the chronology of the first days of Jesus, Jesus who proclaims the gospel, him who enchants the youth, the consoler of those who suffer. And if we compare them with the great chronology from the beginning of the world, according to the poetic description of the Bible, we come across a similarity.
Fa festa a Dio Padre che si riposa dopo aver creato il mondo, va a una festa Gesù dopo aver raccolto attorno a sé i suoi apostoli.
Obje priče
Both stories take place in 7 days. In each of them, there's a celebration. God, the Father, celebrates after he creates the world in a rest. And Jesus goes to a celebration after he has gathered the apostles around him.
7 giorni ci ha messo Gesù a costituire la sua squadra, a galvanizzare attorno alla sua passione per il regno gli apostoli.
7 dana
For 7 days, God created the world, heaven and earth. Jesus needed 7 days in order to gather his company, to draw his apostles for the kingdom of love.
Il segno del vino a Cana di Galilea culmina in una festa come la creazione culmina nella festa del Padre che riposa compiaciuto di fronte alla creazione.
u taj stvaralački tjedan
In that week of creation, the significance of wine in Cana of Galilee is placed, and the pinnacle is reached at a celebration. As the creation reaches its pinnacle in the celebration of the Father, who rejoices in that what he has created.
Questo schietto diffidente che non si lascia tirar dentro dalle favole, che si sente affascinato da Gesù, ma ancora molto prigioniero dei suoi pregiudizi.
jedan od svakako vrlo
One of the very curious observers is Nathanael. He is a defender who does not have great belief, would not be drawn by some kind of stories. He feels enchanted by Jesus, but however is still imprisoned with his judgments. But Jesus' mother was there.
Indiscrezione sull'elenco degli invitati a nozze, ma è l'annuncio di una presenza determinante nel nuovo corso che la vicenda dell'umanità sta prendendo nella storia della salvezza.
ova primjedba iz Evanđelja
This part of the gospel is not an indiscretion on the list of those who were called to the wedding, but it is a relation of a significant presence in the new flow of events for humanity, the history of salvation.
Hanno finito di rincorrersi. È stato un lungo tira e molla, tensioni, decisioni, esperienze belle di apertura alla vita, scoperta di un mondo nuovo, forse anche esperienze di fragilità, di egoismo, da cui si è fatta tanta fatica a uscire.
žene se dvoje mladih.
2 young people are getting married. They have stopped searching. It was a long time of decisions, of beautiful experiences, of opening to life, discovery of a new world, perhaps even an experience of frailness, an experience of selfishness, from which they came out through great effort.
Ma poi finalmente una bella intesa, un desiderio di far felice l'altra persona, di accogliere il dono e di ricambiarlo senza condizioni. I due non devono più stare nascosti, chiedersi prove, seguire le mode. Oggi decidono di donarsi l'uno all'altra e si fidano.
Pokušaj posjedovanja.
The attempts of possessing each other, of conquering of the other, and in the end, a beautiful understanding, a desire of bringing happiness to the other person, of accepting the gift, and to give back without conditions. These two no longer have to hide, look for proof, or follow trends. Today, they give each other to each other and believe in each other.
Che Dio sta sognando con loro, li sta inseguendo perché ci tiene a vederli felici e affida a loro la sorgente della vita. Saranno suoi collaboratori nel creare umanità e non possono non essere pieni di amore come lo vive Lui nella Santissima Trinità.
Dvoje mladih stavljaju se u Božje ruke.
The two young place themselves into God's hands. They know that God dreams with them, that He's accompanying them, that He wants to see them happy. He entrusts the source of life to them. They will be His co-workers in the creation of humanity, and thus they cannot be but full of love, as he lives in the Holy Trinity.
e continuano nel mondo in sogno di amore di Dio, hanno davanti una vita, la sanno carica di imprevisti, di difficoltà nel realizzare i sogni della propria esistenza, hanno passato molto tempo a fare progetti e ora finalmente possono cominciare a realizzarli con l'ingenuità della loro giovane età.
Pred sobom imaju život za kojeg
Before them is a life that they know that is full of unforeseen events, difficulty in realization of their dreams in their own life. A long time they spend putting together plans, and now finally they can start to begin to realize them with their youthful sincerity.
Sanno di essere dentro un tessuto di relazioni che si rinforza, legano ancora di più l'umanità, mettono assieme due famiglie, creano nuove parentele, fili di amore più fitti. Il matrimonio è sempre l'investimento più grande di un popolo e per questo amore, per questi sogni, per queste ingenue prospettive, per questa preghiera c'era la madre di Gesù.
shvatili su da
They
njihovo
understood that their love is not private or only some kind of interior adventure. They know that they are part of a net of relationship that is stronger. They must powerfully come to connect humanity. They connect two families, making new familiar relationships. Marriage is always a role of a people, and because of that love, because of these dreams, because of this prayer, Jesus' mother was also there.
Quante volte avranno rivisto la lista di nozze e ogni volta la lista si allungava. Erano intervenuti il papà e la mamma a risuscitare parentele sconosciute, legami della loro gioventù. Si è dovuto lottare a tenere basso il numero perché i soldi sono sempre pochi, ma avevano deciso di invitare al matrimonio la Madonna, la madre del loro amico Gesù con cui spesso si trovavano.
pozvali su gospu na
They invited Our Lady to the wedding. How often, certainly, they would have gone over the list of the invitees, which each time would become longer. Even the father and the mother would have become involved in order to be able to bring to life the unknown family connections. There had to be a great struggle for the number to remain small because the money was always in question, too little. But they decided to invite Mary, the mother of God, to the wedding. Mary, who was the mother of their friend Jesus, whom they often were in company with. And you, youth, will you invite the mother of God to your wedding?
Dei suoi bellissimi santuari, la pregate ogni giorno e la vorreste lasciare fuori dalla lista delle nozze.
vi je tražite
You seek her in her many beautiful sanctuaries. You pray to her every day. But would you like to leave it out on your wedding day?
Sui vostri progetti, sulle vostre ingenuità e inesperienze. Lei a Cana c'era ed è stata risolutiva di ogni difficoltà. Ha fatto da madrina a questa decisione di amore.
biste li mogli bez njene budne
Would you be able to be without her vigilant presence in your lives, in your plans, in your innocence and your inexperience? In Cana, she solved all the difficulties. She was the witness, the godmother in that decision of love.
Nella vita di ogni cristiano, la madre di Gesù non avrebbe più abbandonato i suoi figli, non solo per sentimento, anche se è bello pensare pure così, ma per un esplicito dono di Gesù. Infatti, se ricordate, sulla croce ce l'avrebbe data definitivamente a nostra completa disposizione.
Tako je počinjala jedna nazočnost.
So this is how her presence began. That certainly is the one that is guaranteed in the life of every Christian. The mother of Jesus will no longer abandon her children, not only because of feelings, although it is a beautiful thing of just that, but through a clear gift of Jesus. In fact, He gives her to us from the cross completely for our disposition. And the Gospel further tells us that there was no more wine. And the mother of Jesus said, they have no wine.
Del suo cuore di madre non è ansiosa, ma vigile. Non è apprensiva, ma attenta. Non è invadente, ma essenziale. Si accorge, tiene gli occhi aperti sulla vita e ne coglie i drammi, le urgenze, le difficoltà.
Budući da je bila pozvana na vjenčanje,
Because she was invited to the wedding, Jesus' mother immediately set out to work. In her motherly heart, she was not anxious, but vigilant. She was not inattentive, but aware. She was not imposing, but truly attentive to what was essential. She notices, she holds her eyes open and sees the life's drama, the urgency, and the difficulty.
Sa che tante feste si portano dentro un'insidia, la gioia tanto desiderata, su cui si era puntato al massimo, per qualche sbaglio imperdonabile si cambia in tristezza, in delusione.
Gospa je na slavlju.
Our Lady is at the celebration, and she knows that many celebrations within them have many difficult traps. Such a desired joy, which was the greatest goal, because of unforgivable mistake, could turn into a sorrow and disappointment.
Alle feste di compleanno. Vi ricordate? Quando restate delusi per quelli che non vengono e non riuscite a sopportare quelli che partecipano. I tuoi veri amici ti hanno abbandonato e quelli che ti strumentalizzano ci sono tutti.
Slavlja vas mladih. Prisjetite
The
se
celebrations of you, the youth. You will recall that all of them look like birthday parties, where you become and remain disappointed because of those who didn't come, and when you can't stand those who are there. Your real friends left you, and those who use you are all present.
Ma anche il sapore, lo stile giusto, il coefficiente della gioia e della gratuità, l'acqua, la bevevano tutti i giorni. Pane e acqua erano la dieta quotidiana e i lunghi giorni di ogni stagione non avevano in sé la felicità, non si sbilanciavano dalla parte della gioia. Tutti sappiamo che a pane e acqua si può sicuramente vivere. Giustamente a pane e acqua si fa penitenza, ma non si può fare festa. Non è sufficiente sopravvivere, occorre vivere e per vivere occorre la gioia.
nema vina, nema okusa.
There is no wine, there is no flavor. The fact of the joy and true gift without payment, water and bread were the daily food, and the long days throughout the year did not within themselves carry the joy, and the joy in them did not have the proper balance. We all know that we can all survive on bread and water. It is true that we commit penance with bread and water, but we cannot feast on bread and water. It is not sufficient to survive. We need to live, and for life we need joy.
Sopravvivenza. Purtroppo ce lo diciamo anche tra di noi quando ci chiedono come va? Sopravvivo. È la risposta più immediata. È forse la classica ironia vostra di giovani, ma anche forse la fatica di tirare a sera, non tanto per la stanchezza, ma per il bisogno, il desiderio di avere ragioni di vita, perché non troviamo mai queste ragioni.
Mnogo je naših života čisto preživljavanje.
Much of life is only survival. Unfortunately, we also speak this among ourselves when we ask, how is it going? Say, I'm surviving, is the quickest answer we get. Perhaps a matter of classic irony of youth, but also perhaps it is a matter of fatigue that we pull through the evening, not so much because of tiredness, but because of desire for life that we do not find.
Deve farsi carico di questo bisogno di ragione di vita perché è lui il vino della festa.
I I Marija se obraća Isusu.
And Mary turns to Jesus.
On se mora ispuniti tom potrebom.
He must fulfill himself without that need for the reason for life, because he is the wine for the feast.
Annoiati e depressi. Sono a pane e acqua.
Isuse,
Jesus, look at how many youth are overcome by boredom, depression. They are on bread and water.
Sono continuamente intrappolati. Sono a pane e acqua.
Isuse,
Jesus, look at the error in which they are completely overcome as in a trap. They are on bread and water.
Isuse,
Jesus, these youth have reconciled too much with their destiny because they are discouraged. They are on bread and water.
Vedi quanti giovani hanno cominciato a seguirti, ti hanno fatto promesse e poi si sono fermati delusi e stonati. Sono a pane e acqua.
Isuse,
Jesus, look at how much of the youth have begun to follow you. They gave you the promises, and then they stopped, disappointed and ill-willed. They are on bread and water.
Molti giovani sono indifferenti a tutto, invece di fare amicizia tra loro. Costruiscono bande per spaccare, per rompere, distruggere. Sono a pane e acqua.
Isuse,
Jesus, many youth are indifferent towards everything. Instead of creating friendships amongst themselves, they create different bands that destroy, that ruin. They are on bread and water.
E restano a mezz'aria, senza dare gambe ai sogni. Sono fragili. Sono a pane e acqua.
Isuse,
Jesus, there are many youth here who dream, and their dreams remain in the air. They do not turn the back of their dreams to the wind. They are frail. They are on bread and water.
Li hanno stregati con quattro cose, li stanno ingannando, li chiamano botte di vita, ma sono preludio alla morte, si adattano a tutto, non hanno più vino.
Isuse,
Jesus, the youth of today do not dare to seek the impossible. They have been trapped by the minute things. They have been deceived. They are called by life's blows. They are at the threshold of death. They subdue to everything. They have no wine.
Oleografiche ci vogliono far credere. È attenta come ogni mamma ai suoi figli e osa forzare l'ora di Gesù, quel momento che da secoli doveva far sperimentare all'umanità il cambiamento definitivo da una storia di fuga a una storia di amore.
Marija je hrabra.
Mary is courageous. She's not a frightened woman in the shadow, hidden, without plans, as many try to portray with their unoriginal portrayals. She's a caring mother, as every mother for children, and she dares to bring forward the moment of Jesus, for that moment where throughout the centuries humanity was waiting for that final change, the story about love.
Marching in the light of God. We are 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 marching, 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 oh, oh. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching, 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 oh, oh. We are marching in the light of God. We are dancing. We are dancing in the light of God. 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 We are dancing, 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 oh, oh. We are dancing in the light of God. dancing, 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 oh, oh, we are dancing in the light of God. We are clapping 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 in the light of God. We are clapping, 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 oh, oh, we are clapping in the light of God. We are clapping, 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 oh, oh, we are clapping in the light of God. We are dancing 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 in the light of God. We are dancing, 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 oh, oh, we are dancing in the light of God. We are dancing, 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 oh, oh, we are dancing in the light of God. We are flying 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 in the light of God. We are flying, 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 oh, oh, we are flying in the light of God. We are flying, 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 oh, oh, we are flying in the light of God. We are sleeping 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 in the light of God. We are sleeping, 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 oh, oh, we are sleeping in the light of God. We are sleeping, 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 oh, oh, we are sleeping in the light of God. We are jumping 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 in the light of God. We are jumping, 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 oh, oh, we are jumping in the light of God. We are jumping, 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 oh, oh, we are jumping in the light of God. We are swimming 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 in the light of God. We are swimming, 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 oh, oh, we are swimming in the light of God. We are swimming, 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 oh, oh, we are swimming in the light of God.
Ovom pjesmom pozdravili smo
With this song, we also greeted the numerous youth who are accompanying us through internet on the internet in Germany. 25,000 are joined to us. Many of them are lonely. And we desire to be together with them. We desire them unity with us and Our Lady.
sull'internet ci seguono solo in Germania
Only in Germany today we have 25,380 people who are with us through the internet, and we greet them. We continue. We are about at the middle. Don't be disturbed. We will continue.
A Isus joj odgovori:
And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what is that between you and me? My hour has not yet come."
Soprattutto se lo vediamo chiuso dentro le relazioni affettive familiari. Noi avremmo sicuramente detto mamma, magari con 10 M, e Gesù dirà ancora donna anche sulla croce quando offrirà a noi sua madre. Non dirà mamma, ecco tuo figlio, ma donna, ecco tuo figlio. Dicendo donna dà solennità globale, universale a questo gesto. lo colloca nel contesto della nuova creazione, perché Maria è la donna dell'alleanza, la nuova Eva.
Način Isusova govora
The way that Jesus speaks seems very harsh, disrespectful, especially if we see it in the framework of family relationships. Certainly, we would have said mom with tenderness. But Jesus says woman, also from the cross. When he offers his mother to us, he doesn't say, Mom, behold your son, but woman, behold your son. In saying woman, to that gesture, he gives a general, universal solemnity and seriousness. He places in the context of new creation. She is the woman of the covenant, the new Eve.
È stato per 40 giorni nel deserto, la sua vita è stata fatta passare nel crogiuolo della tentazione, gli si sono parati davanti tutti gli scenari possibili di un regno troppo umano, basato sul potere, sulla gloria, sulla limitazione della libertà di chi avrebbe potuto farne parte. Era molto comodo fare miracoli per far credere, anziché invitare a credere nel massimo della libertà e dell'abbandono fiducioso in Dio e poi confermare con dei segni. Là nel deserto si era misurato con la prospettiva vera del regno e l'ora non era ancora giunta. Aveva scelto i 12, ma come vedremo in seguito erano ancora troppo fragili.
Isus je prije kratkog vremena
A
započeo
short time prior to that, Jesus initiated the adventure with the kingdom of God. For 40 days, he was in the desert, where his life passed through temptation. Before him, there were all possible scenarios, from far too human kingdom based on power and glory, with the limitation of freedom of anyone who could be part of that. It would have been easy to do a miracle that others would believe in, instead of calling to belief in the greatest freedom and the abandonment to God with full trust, confirmed with signs. There in the desert, he had faced the true perspective of kingdom. The hour had not yet come. He chose the 12. But as we see afterwards, they were still too frail.
Non è passiva nella storia della salvezza, ci presenta la grande possibilità di partecipare in maniera attiva a questa storia. Aveva già forzato i suoi tempi all'annuncio dell'angelo e aveva deciso di buttarsi nelle braccia di Dio, di accogliere la sua volontà, anche se non ne comprendeva fino in fondo la portata. Aveva detto sì ed era rimasta entusiasta. Ora finalmente cominciava a vedere l'adempimento delle promesse, cominciava a vedere che Gesù non era il quieto giovanotto di Nazareth, ma il profeta, il Cristo atteso. E allora Maria accelera la fine di questa grande attesa.
Međutim, Marija ubrzava vrijeme.
Mary is the one who speeds up time. She's not passive in the history of salvation. She offers us a great opportunity for active participation in this story. She already sped up the time also at the proclamation of the angel, and she decided to cast herself into the arms of God, to accept his will, even though she did not completely understand its significance and weight. She said yes and remained enthusiastic. Now finally she came to see that the realization of the promise is taking place. He started to notice that Jesus was not just a quiet young man from Nazareth, but a prophet, the expected Christ. And Mary is the one who speeds up the end of that expectation. Into this, the mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you."
Non vi state a fare troppe domande. Non date la stura al cervello con le vostre paranoie. Non fatevi prendere dalla paura di affidarvi. Io ho sperimentato che Dio è potente, che sa umiliare i ricchi e dare vita ai poveri. Io ho visto i potenti spegnersi e i deboli prendere forza. Io ho sperimentato che gli affamati sono andati a casa sazi, mentre gli ingordi si sono distrutti con la loro stessa autosufficienza.
A to znači što god vam rekne,
And this means do whatever he tells you. Do not ask too many questions. Do not open a free highway to your own mind, to your paranoias. Do not be afraid to trust. I've experienced that God is Almighty, that He takes the arrogance of the rich and gives life to the poor. I've seen how the mighty are extinguished and the weak gain strength. I've experienced how the hungry have left home full and how the greedy destroy themselves with their self-satiation.
Maria è la donna di fede, non è soprattutto la donna degli affetti di madre, è la donna che ha aperto la sua esistenza al massimo di fede possibile. È madre, ma è tutta abbandonata nel figlio.
ovdje je Bog, ovdje
Here is God. Here is Jesus, His Son. Mary is a woman of faith. She's not in the first place a woman with motherly feelings, but a woman who had opened her existence in the greatest possible way to faith. She is a mother, but she's completely surrendered to the Son.
È per la felicità di questi due giovani che stanno vivendo il momento più bello della loro vita, il dono definitivo di ciascuno all'altra.
ono što će on reći zasigurno je za sreću to dvoje mladih koji upravo proživljavaju najljepši trenutak u svome životu. Konačni dar jedno drugome.
I due verbi dire e fare.
That, what he said, certainly is for the joy of the two youth who actually come to experience the most beautiful moment of their lives, the final gift of one to another.
Occorre ascoltare quello che Gesù dice e farlo per rispondere con fedeltà alla chiamata di Gesù, quindi alla nuova alleanza con Gesù.
Ova dva glagola, reći
These two verbs, to say and to do, are of creation. They are the verbs of covenant. This is how the people responded. What you have said, we will do. Here, the new covenant begins. We must listen to what Jesus says. And to do this, in order to respond with faithfulness to the call of Jesus, to the new covenant with Jesus.
Adesione radicale, senza se e senza ma, esige che nei confronti di Gesù si abbia docilità, fiducia, attenzione, obbedienza. È l'obbedienza della fede, non la decisione strategica di una qualche possibile opportunità.
Marija traži potpunu raspoloženje.
Mary seeks complete openness, radical action, without if. She is the one who asks that we nurture being subdued to Jesus, trust, attentiveness, obedience. This is the obedience of faith, not some kind of strategic decision in some future convenient opportunity.
Sta nel fare la sua volontà. Il nostro futuro è sicuro se facciamo quello che Gesù dice. La scelta di base di un giovane che vuole cambiare vita, che ha capito di stare dalla parte di Gesù, è quella di fare quello che Gesù dice. Ogni cosa gli salti in mente di chiederti è da fare, perché da lui non viene nessuna richiesta che non sia amore.
Naša je sreća u tome da živimo
Our joy is in living according to His will. Our future is certain if we do what He tells us. The fundamental choice of a young person who desires to change his life, who has understood that to be on the side of Jesus means to do what Jesus says. We are to do everything that is asked, because from Him there will be no demand that will not be love.
Qualche emozione anche profonda, non superficiale. Abbiamo toccato il cielo col dito e poi fate tutto quello che Gesù dirà a voi, a ciascuno personalmente.
Često tražimo što
Oftentimes, we seek what we are to do in life. Maybe after some kind of a beautiful spiritual experience, after a profound, not superficial experience, it's a matter of touching heaven with a finger and then do whatever Jesus tells each one of you individually.
Perché Gesù non parla nel fracasso, nelle distrazioni. Lui è come il soffio di una brezza leggera. Occorre affinare la capacità di ascolto per intuire tutto quello che vi dirà. Sono momenti di preghiera, di contemplazione, ma anche sguardo di amore sulla storia. Maria ci porta sempre a Gesù. Non esiste un cristiano senza Gesù, senza il Cristo.
tako nastaje potreba da se stvore duboke tradicije.
In this way, there's a need of deep moments of silence to be created. Jesus does not speak when there is noise. He does not speak when we're distracted. He is like a gentle breeze. We must sharpen our capacity of listening that we may intimately come to know all that He will tell us. Those are the moments of prayer and contemplation, but also the gaze of love on your story. Mary always leads us to Jesus. No Christian exists without Jesus, without Christ.
Perché la gente che incontrava Gesù voleva sempre fare di testa sua, voleva vedere miracoli, voleva vedere cose prodigiose, farsi accarezzare le orecchie e soprattutto tenersi uguale, identica alla vita, con i suoi difetti, le sue ferite e avere delle conferme. Maria sapeva che Gesù chiedeva soprattutto la fede, li avrebbe messi alla prova, avrebbe vagliato i loro cuori e infatti dirà: prendete le giare e riempitele d'acqua.
Marija je znala da
Mary knew that she had to persevere because people who met Jesus always wanted to do things according to their own will. They wanted to see miracles, wondrous things. They wanted to listen to that what was pleasant to the ears, and especially to keep the life the same with all the faults and wounds, and to have confirmation in that. She knew that Jesus, before everything, sought faith. He would put them to the test and examine their hearts. And that is why she said, take the vessels and fill them with water.
E ci fa portare acqua alla grande. Ci manca la gioia e la felicità, ci chiede il sacrificio. Ci manca l'amore e invece di consolarci ci manda i poveri. Abbiamo bisogno di chiarezza e ci dice di arrangiarci a cercare la verità.
Ma što misli ovaj Isus?
But what does the Jesus think? Who is He to jest with us like this? There's no wine, and He tells us to bring lots of water. We are lacking joy and happiness, and He asks for sacrifice from us. We are lacking love. Instead of consoling us, He sends us the poor. We need clarity, and yet He says to us that we are to seek the truth on our own.
False sicurezze e fidatevi di me. Lasciate i vostri loculi che puzzano di cadavere e andate per il mondo a dire che c'è un Gesù che non abbandona nessuno.
Napunite posude vodom.
Fill the vessels with water. Reject your false security and trust in me. Leave behind your hiding places that have the smell of corpses and go into the world speaking that a Jesus exists who will not abandon them.
Col Vangelo, con la carità, con l'insegnamento della Chiesa. Gesù, diceva Daniel, lo si incontra nell'Eucaristia, nella confessione, nei sacramenti. Ci parla attraverso i suoi apostoli, attraverso il Papa, attraverso l'umile quotidianità di una comunità cristiana.
Nadasve pak činite ono što vam Isus
Above all, do what Jesus tells you. That what He inspires you with the Spirit, with the gospel, merciful love, the teachings of the Church. As Daniel said, we meet Jesus in the Eucharist, in the confession, in the sacraments. He speaks to us through His apostles, through the Pope, through humble, daily life of a Christian community.
Di fare esperienze nuove e meravigliose. Molti tornano cambiati da queste esperienze. C'è un discernimento necessario. Fate tutto quello che vi dirà. Tutte le devozioni mariane sono dentro questo comando. Nelle varie apparizioni su cui la Chiesa talvolta prende posizione e qualche altra si astiene rispettosa degli eventi, il criterio di verità è sempre la coerenza di ogni messaggio al Vangelo e a quello che Gesù ha detto e fatto.
danas mnogi govore da imaju viđenje.
Today, many say that they have visions, that they have wondrous experiences, and many return changed by these experiences. But there is one important distinction. Do whatever He tells you. Every Marian devotion is contained in this commandment, with various apparitions of which the Church is to take its attitude of in time. It stands at a distance, respectful of the events. And always at the head is the trustworthiness of every message to be according to the gospel of what Jesus said and what He was.
Deve essere tutto un ascolto per fare ciò che Gesù dice e proveremo una grande pace.
I mi ćemo biti
And we also will be holy if in the center of our journey we place Jesus. Our relationship with Mary must be a listening so that we may do what Jesus says, and we will sense the great peace.